So, it's been a while. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I make tutorials usually, or as I used to. It's been a little bit of a break, but we're back, we're here, and today we're going to be learning how to create these sort of viral-esque Instagram ads. This is going to be like part one in a long series. And so for this one, I'm going to show you how to make this sort of ad here. It's pretty easy. It's actually not as hard as you think. You're going to start by finding your shoebox model and a shoe itself as well. So you can do this by 3D scanning, or you can model a shoe in a box. I did a bit of a combo. I just found a shoe online and just model the box, got some textures online, pop them on, and then make sure that you scale the shoes so one of them fits inside the box. Don't worry about both of them fitting in, just make sure one of them can fit inside. And then add some subdivisions to your box. Then you're gonna add a shrink wrap modifier to your box and select your shoe as a target. And essentially you'll see the box's geo just shrink wrap around the shoe. Now, it's not gonna look perfect, doesn't have to look perfect. Increasing the subdivisions will help like a better shrink wrap effect, but it's just sort of like a general shape. It's gonna be super quick in motion, doesn't really matter too much. And then don't click apply, click the little arrow key and click apply as shape key. Now, essentially what this does is it, as it says, makes this transformation a shape key. So when you go down into your data properties on your box, you'll have a new little shape key here, which you can slide from 0 to 1. And essentially it lets you make your box morph from your first object into your second object, which is pretty cool. Then all I do is make a bit of like a jiggly animation as if your box is sort of bouncing around. Now you can do this with like rigid body physics. It's probably easier just to do it, hand done, gives you a bit more control over it as well. But if you do want to do it with rigid body physics, just make sure you bake out that animation as well. Once you've got the box bouncing around a little bit, do the morph transition somewhere inside of that, so it goes from the box down to the shoe. And at that point of transformation, you'll have a shoe scaling from 0 to 1. So essentially just replacing the box. And then you do the same in reverse for the box, which is transformed into the shoe. You just do the morph and then make it scale from 0 to 1 over the course of one frame. So in camera, it'll look like your box has gone zoom like this and morphed into a shoe. Also, make sure that you give your shoe a bit of extra leftover animation there as well, a bit of jiggle as well. So you can imagine if your box is sort of like jiggling around and transforming into a shoe, that it doesn't just go jiggle, jiggle, stop. It'll go like jiggle, jiggle, and then transforms and then has a little like finishing animation as well, if that makes sense. Just helps the cut be a little bit smoother. Then for the second shoe, similar-esque tactic, just have the second shoe scale from 0 to 1, sort of like a popping effect, and you can do your own little animation on that too. So you have the second shoe go scale 0, 1 and sort of bounce out. And what I like to do in this point as well is have my first shoe also bounce out a little bit, so it's like it's sort of popped. You can imagine like the Harry Potter duplicating spell that they had in Gringotts Bank, where everything sort of duplicates and pops bigger and bigger. And when it happens, all the objects sort of scatter around. Now, that's pretty much it. There's a few tips that I can give you to make it extra convincing. The first one is in your camera settings, switch on some depth of field, just makes the sort of scene look a little bit better. And then in your render settings, turn on motion blur. This will mean that when your object is moving around super fast and doing that morph transition, it'll sort of blur and you won't be able to actually see, it's sort of transitioning into like a low quality version of your shoe and then your shoe replacing it. The blur will sort of really help sell that effect. Another thing I like to do to give it a bit more of like a stylistic look is going into the compositing tab. Now, don't be scared. I'm sort of scared of the compositing tab quite a bit as well, but it's pretty easy. All you're gonna do is click use nodes and then add a lens distortion node and add a viewer node so you can see what's going on. And then when you click render for just one single frame, it'll then preview what your render looks like there, and you can just play around with the details here and make it as like a fisheye or fancy schmancy as ever you want. You can have it super spherical, you can sort of find it out, just play around here, make it look as cool as you want it to. Also, with your camera, if you want to make it like a looping effect, you can do some little camera moves as well in there, just to sort of sell a bit more realism too. So you can sort of do a slow push in at the start and a slow pull out at the end, and that sort of cuts nicely together. If you want to sort of move with the shoes as well, you can do that too. And final bonus tip is to do with the actual transition itself. So this probably isn't super noticeable, but if you've got two objects that are like drastically different in color, say like a bright orange shoe and a bright blue box, then what you might want to do is actually morph between the textures as well when the box goes to the shoe. So to do this, what you're going to do is go to your shoe material, select everything except for the material output, and then right click and make that into a group. Then just copy that and paste it into your box's material. Then you're going to add a mix shader node and just connect the ports up. So you connect that node group of your shoe material into one side and you just have the rest of your box material into the other. And from here you can just sort of fade using the factor from 0 to 1 or from 1 to 0, whatever it is. When that little morph transition happens, just set a keyframe and just have it sort of fade from the box material to the shoe material. Could just help sell that realism just a little bit more. You can, if you want to get even more extra, do like a separate XYZ node thing and actually choose where the morph happens, but because it's happening so quickly, I think it's better just to do that sort of all over sort of fade, as opposed to doing like a just the x-axis fade. But that's pretty much it. With this, you can create all sorts of types of morphing and popping animations, which can look really cool for those sort of little Instagram ads, if that's what you're after. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna try and make some more of these like quick little tutorials on how to make those like viral-esque, Instagram ads. If you have any questions, do leave them down below. If you have any suggestions as well, pop them in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.